All right. Hi, everybody. Yeah, happy Wednesday. Welcome to Marketing Masters. Good to see some faces we haven't seen in a while and a few new faces. So I think this is going to be a really good discussion today. Thanks for introducing it, Ryan. I'm Kim Shepard. Been running this for a few years now. Always learning something new on these calls. I'll do a quick introduction and then pass it over to Ryan. We can do introductions and then get into our topic today. So I run Shepard Marketing out of Colorado. Been in business for 7.5 years already. It's crazy. Working with a lot of small and mid-sized businesses on their marketing strategy, all their online presence, pretty much anything that you would need with marketing. Either we do it or we know someone who does and partner with various people around the globe to get projects done. I'm also a franchisor of a mobile grooming business. So if you know anyone who's looking to diversify, definitely help them with that. Yeah, I'm gonna pass this over to Ryan. It's his topic today, and then we'll go around and do some introductions. Nice to see everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Kim. So appreciate the intro, and yeah, I'll just do some quick rounds today. I think a lot of us know each other. Rebecca's new here. We can kind of get into that, but ultimately, I mentioned Allie's a busy guy, so we only get him for a little bit of time this morning, and I want you guys to just be merciless with him, hammer him with all the questions. But ultimately, so I'm. It's been a while since I've shared this, but or been able to, but I'm in kind of transition. So I've owned Team for Teeth, which is a B2B marketing consulting firm, for almost the last 3 years. Phenomenal ride. Have had been broached with an incredible opportunity to join forces with a larger agency that does a lot of the same stuff. So I'm thrilled about this. It'll take some time. We're working through some really exciting things about how to bring our companies together. So you'll see me pop up on like Vendy Digital stuff and my stuff, and that was going to be confusing. But at the end of the day, it's all B2B marketing. Um, so that's me. I'm going to pick on Hillary.
Somehow I had a feeling that was coming. Hi, everybody. It's been a while since I've been here. As I was saying when I joined, been really busy. My company is Castro & Co. And we're a marketing firm, but we focus initially on helping our clients set up their systems, databases, CRMs, integrating with whatever other software they use through the cloud and making it really works for them in an authentic way. And so we work on client experience through that as well in terms of messaging and how do we take your brand and infuse it into how your technology works for you. So been in business for about 2.5 years. I've known Kim for a long time, so I'm excited to be back. I'm excited for today's topic as well.
Adam, I can never you in the background. You always have something new. It's spicy. You're up.
I like to keep it interesting. Adam Kemper with Real Fig Advertising and Marketing. Started there at the beginning of the year. We are a full service marketing agency specializing in those established small to mid-sized businesses. Our big focus is trackable lead generation as the outcome. I've known Kim for a lot of years, and I appreciate all of you who I know very well who have supported me through changing companies. It was 5 years at the last place, so I kind of got comfortable. So it makes making a change a little more stressful, but it's gone really smoothly. I'm in a great space and excited. I've been messing with the AI stuff, so I'm excited to learn more from a true expert.
That's great. Thanks, Adam. Jonathan, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good morning to you, the stateside. So John Doxey from Design JD. We do two things. Well, for a little while, we do two things: branding and wayfinding, which is helping people find their way around their built environment. But as of the end of this month, we're going to launch a new brand to specifically market the wayfinding side of things, to segment that in that sense. I'm really excited today. Thanks, Kim. Arrived. I've been using AI for the last 17 years. We call it Illustrator.
Nice.
No, so looking forward to the talk today.
Very good. Thank you, Louise.
Nearly forgot to unmute myself then. Yeah, I'm Louise. My business is Your Marketing Specialist, and I work as a freelance marketing manager. Since last month, I've been looking for new clients, and I've just been offered some work as a business advisor for Yorkshire in Business, which is on the East Coast up here. And I'll get my own. I've run workshops for them before, but I'll get my own clients to look after, so helping them with their marketing strategy and helping them deliver it. So usually a lot of social media stuff. And I'm really interested to see if the AI can help the smaller businesses, especially with small budgets. It could be a game changer.
Now, I think you're going to like what you hear today. Mark, good morning.
Hey, Ryan. Thanks, guys. This is my my second meeting with everybody. Glad to be here. I am Mark Lilly, based in Denver, Colorado. I am the owner of a fledgling but rising branding company called Factus Creative. We provide businesses the power of distinction to attract and retain their ideal customers. So I do a lot of brand refresh, logo designs, and visual identity systems for funded startups and established businesses looking to have a good refresh. So interesting conversation today. Trying to have open eyes with it.
That's great. Rebecca, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, good morning. First time here. I'm excited to join the group. I'm out in Denver. I've been here for a couple of years. I work for a company called Multiplier, and they do global HR and payroll processing. So a company based in the US doesn't have to open a business entity in another country to hire outside of their home country. I've been with them for about 6 months. I lead their revenue marketing function, so all of their paid media and email marketing and operations and all the nerdy side of marketing. I've been in B2B SaaS for about 10 years or so, and in the digital marketing space for close to 20 years. And primarily that background's been focused on the HR and payroll software industry. So leading high growth teams for fast-paced organizations is kind of my niche, but I've really been enjoying that.
That's
So I'm
awesome.
excited to be part of the group today.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. This is awesome. Did I miss
Welcome.
anybody aside from you, Al? Good. So this is great, guys. I really appreciate y'all being here today. I'd like to introduce Al. You're gonna have to do your last name when you get there, because I'm not doing that. But so Al works for Jasper. So some of you have kind of raised your hand and said, hey, I use Jasper, I know of Jasper, or I've thought about it, or I have no idea what it is. So we're kind of all over the place. Today is not about the product at all. There are some really cool demo things that I do want him to share if we have time, just because it's an enabling light switch. It's like, oh crap, I didn't know this was even possible, because we've all used some form of AI, whether we're trying to use GPT to create an exercise plan or we're using it for complex marketing systems. But what's available in more of the enterprise private suite of offerings is game changing. So a couple of things I want to leave you with before I make the intro. One, there are tools out there now that are private, and Jasper is one of them, meaning you go to ChatGPT and you tell it all your business secrets in order to get a good piece of content. Well, now GPT owns that. So Jasper does not do that, which is really neat, especially if you're working with some more high class or classified or more sensitive information. Also the ability to learn, truly learn you over time based on specific training opportunities you have. So it's way more of a co-pilot than a lot of the other tools. And I'll also leave you with this too. It is not, there are entry points to get into this thing, everything from free to mega enterprise. So don't feel like, oh, this is some big overwhelming thing. But really, I want you guys to ask. We've had a lot of questions. We have a lot of kind of big philosophical, that word, questions. So Al's had some really good conversations again with lots and lots and lots of brands, way more than us all combined. So without further ado, Al, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Really nice to meet you all. I figure we can make this part discussion, part like presentation with slides, because it helps me guide the discussion, but at the same time, I don't want to feel like I'm talking to you the whole time. So I will share my screen if that's cool, and we can kind of kick it off from there, if that sounds good. Cool.
Yeah, and pepper
Awesome.
him, guys. So like I said, if you want to jump in and ask him any kind of questions about all the things, please do.
Cool. So yeah, let me get into this then. We will do presenter. I'll do slideshow view. Why not, right? Big and front and center. Cool. So nice to meet you. I'll do my brief introduction here. I'm Al Bedricki. Let's pronounce the last name. Ingrain it in your head, Ryan. Bedricki. I've been in the tech space for about 15 years. But really have been closely tied to agencies throughout my entire career. The first couple of years out of college, I worked at a marketing agency here in Boston, Massachusetts, which is where I'm based, called Scratch Marketing and Media. I shifted over to HubSpot, was there for about 9 years, helping build their solutions partner program. Some folks might be familiar with HubSpot or their partner programs. So kind of cut my teeth understanding, how SaaS organizations go to market with organizations like partners. Spent a couple of years at Airtable, and then as Ryan mentioned, here I am at Jasper. All the while, I've been building partner programs and running partner marketing along the way. So very, very motivated to help businesses figure out how to partner deeply with SaaS organizations for mutually beneficial goals. As Ryan mentioned, Jasper is a co-pilot. We're branding ourselves as a AI-powered co-pilot for marketing teams. You'll see a lot of tools out there that are very like horizontal across different functions, free, where they train the larger models, which Jasper doesn't do. But we are very focused on the marketing use case. And I myself am working with my team to really figure out how we partner with marketing service organizations, so marketing agencies, those that offer value-added services to their clients, when AI is part of the picture as well. So what I'll do here is just kind of walk through our point of view and what we've uncovered in terms of how AI is disrupting marketing, how you should think about it as a marketer, and then take another step back and think about how this implicates service providers or marketing agencies and some of the things you need to think about. I do, as Ryan mentioned, have a hard stop at the half of the hour, but I am more than happy to part two, continue this conversation on a future call, jump on, maybe even dive into the tool a little bit more if you want to see it as well. But and obviously you're free to follow up with me and ask specific questions, but I figure that's how we could spend most of the time. Sound good? Cool. So I'll probably go through 1, 2, 3, and 4 as much as I can today. And then if we want to save some of the other stuff for another call, happy to kind of, truncate it and then pick up at a different time. But really wanted to just talk at a high level about some of this stuff as well, and then have an open discussion with the group. And feel free, as I go through this to, drop a question in the chat pane. I will be watching it, or just interrupt me if that makes the most sense. Does that sound good? Cool. So you probably heard AI a lot over the past couple of years. ChatGPT has become in the forefront, and folks are trying to figure out what to do with this technology. I would just want to create a distinction around just like AI in general and what we're talking about today, which is generative AI. And generative AI is artificial intelligence that's capable of generating text, images, and other media using generative models. So ChatGPT is an example of this. Jasper is an example of this. It uses large language models, and you put in a prompt for what you want, and it spits something back out, whether that be in image, text form, what have you, based on how those large language models are programmed. And as you can imagine, this is a tool that has been quite widely adopted by folks who create content, for better or for worse. And people are kind of navigating these waters, trying to figure out what the best utility is, and in the business world, how you drive tangible impact. And here's a little GIF of Jasper in action, where you put in a prompt, and how to, it's writing an outline for me for this presentation, which is kind of meta. Lots of tools out there that exploded, right? Like people are like, oh, wow, there's a gold rush here. There's this technology that's unlocking some pretty cool stuff. So let's build apps around it and try to monetize on it. Jasper, I'm glad to say that in this sort of marketing landscape, we are in the marketing box, which means that the people are classifying us as where we want to be. But as you can see, it's overwhelming, right? There's a lot of tools out there that do a lot of different things. I'll give you some tips here too, as you are trying tools, whether it be ChatGPT, Jasper, otherwise, how to kind of navigate those waters as well with some of the principles that Ryan already alluded to with privacy, security, all that good stuff. So one thing I just wanted to talk a little bit about is, how generative AI is disrupting marketing. I'm sure many of you are either dipping your toes in or quite well versed in some of these things, but wanted to cover a couple buckets here. The benefits, the opportunities, and some of the limitations as well of generative AI and how it implicates the marketing practice. business. On the benefit side, you're probably well aware it can up efficiency. It can help organizations scale. And it helps with consistency of content, especially with like a marketing co-pilot like Jasper, where it can be trained on an organization's information. So if you have a team that's using it and your team is putting in prompts, you're going to get consistent outputs across the board if Jasper or the engine that you use understands fundamental aspects of a business, so you can create consistency across the board. I think an interesting way to kind of see how these benefits are manifesting is if you kind of take a look at what good content looks like these days. If you do marketing content for yourself or on behalf of clients, I think we would all say that if this is like the phases of content production, you would want to put in the purple bars of effort into each of these to be able to produce good content. Like you want to put some effort into ideation, into research to make sure you have a really great piece of content. Composition probably sucks up a lot of time, like actually putting pen to paper and writing it. Editing, you want to make sure that the right stakeholders are signing off on it. And then distribution, like how good is content unless you actually, distribute it to the right channels and get people seeing it. But the reality is like, we kind of spend most of our time doing this. And keep in mind, this is without AI in the picture. This is what like content marketing looks like today without AI in the picture. And this is realistically what happens. And, when your ideation suffers, you're probably not, coming up with really great ideas. When research suffers, your pieces can be shallow. When editing goes down, you're going to run into stumbling blocks and have to go back and change it. And distribution, like, if you build it, they will come, is not necessarily the thing. You need to go and shout from the rooftops that you publish something that's really great. And in reality, like all of that effort kind of piles into composition. And when AI comes along, it's great because it helps you move faster in the composition phase. Like you could put a prompt into a Jasper or a ChatGPT, and it gives you something really quick and takes away that heavy lift of composition. And it brings you the faster content strategy, but that's not like the best, right? Like you don't want to just say one bar across the board and ship it because, search engines are going to get really savvy on just AI produced very, very mediocre content and are going to ding you and your clients work for it. And you're going to want to make sure that, you are still putting in the right amount of effort, even if AI is kind of helping you move through these phases quicker. So the way we kind of think about it is, there's this redistribution of where you can put effort when AI frees up that time from some of the more manual tasks like composition. You could spend more time ideating. You could spend more time, researching really good articles in order to make your piece that much more convincing. So we kind of think of this like better content strategy in terms of what AI is helping us unlock and enable as marketers in the field. Does that resonate? Does that make sense and kind of a way to think about it? Any sort of questions or insights or comments on that? No? Pretty good. Okay. Keep rolling. Everybody's nodding. Okay, this is good. This is good. Either it doesn't make any sense or it is right on point. So I'm hoping it's the latter.
I mean, given we have a lot of marketing people and people have been on the agency side and brand side, I think it resonates. I'll just speak for all of us, very much so. I mean, the composition part sucks. Yeah.
I to be honest, like, I've been at Jasper for about a year, and there's some stuff that I just absolutely hate doing, like writing a press release. And I sat down, like we were announcing a partnership with Google last summer, and I was just like, oh, I freaking hate writing press releases. And I was like, wait, I could ask Jasper to write a draft. So I gave it some key pieces of what I was looking for, and it got me maybe like 75% of the way, as if I had like an intern to like draft it for me. Went back, made some tweaks, made sure that there's human eyes on it, but to be honest, like I felt actually like really good about writing that press release. I was like, that was actually kind of fun. Like before, I would just kind of, felt like pulling teeth. So yeah, I agree. So with the benefits, kind of unlocks opportunities. It helps you reduce overhead for the amount of work that needs to get done. As we mentioned in that last sort of graphic, you could reinvest time in other places to be more efficient and more impactful, and give you a competitive advantage. If you're going against competitors in your space and you're more efficient. But with the benefits and opportunities, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's also limitations. You've probably heard of hallucinations, security and privacy pitfalls of AI tools, and just legislative things to keep in mind. So hallucinations, you probably heard it in the headlines of the news, like it's when you put in a prompt and it doesn't quite give you the most factual output that you need. Here's an example of, how that might happen, which goes to show that like these models aren't perfect. There was that quote saying like the worst AI model that you use is the one you're using today. They're always going to get better. Makes a lot of sense. But that also kind of, brings the idea to the table that there still needs to be human input as part of this process. You can't just expect, the AI to be able to give you 100% finished piece at the end. It's going to help speed up, and it's a tool, but it doesn't take away that whole workflow. You need to have that human element added on top of it. There's also, risks, privacy risks as well. So there's a quote that's like, if the product is free, you are the product. So keep that in mind. If you're using a free tool, a lot of the times it's going to train the larger model. So, do your due diligence and understand, especially if you're using proprietary information, your own or on behalf of a client, you'll want to make sure that the, the platform or the app that you use is secure. So you're not leaking anything and getting in trouble. And then, obviously AI is relatively new and it's moving fast, and there's a ton of legislative decision-making that needs to be made. And legislation moves slow, AI moves fast. So those two things are a little at odds, but it's good to keep in mind about what the latest changes are. How GDPR came in and it kind of disrupted the whole way that you can communicate via email. So thinking through these things and staying ahead of them is super important if you are using AI to serve clients or for your own benefit as well. And here's a piece of content that we had on our blog late last year with some of the the changes that we as a country here in the US did in terms of AI and things you should be aware of. But now I'm going to get to the main point. Like, what does it mean for marketing service providers or marketing agencies that are using AI? On one hand, it's really cool because it can help you spend less time delivering work for clients. But if you use a time-based pricing model, it kind of throws a wrench in it, right? Like, you need to say hey, my client's going to be like, it takes you 10 hours when it used to take you 30. So should we pay for 10? And you're like, oh, geez, that's kind of an interesting point, client. It could help your team be more efficient, but how do you ensure that your team is adequately upskilled and trained on these tools? It's not as easy as you would think at first glance. I talked to a lot of organizations who are like, hey, AI shiny object, let's get it set up on our team and we'll be good to go. But it really upends the DNA of what a copywriter does if they're going to be using the tool. A copywriter is very much trained to write something from scratch. And if you're using a tool where you're going to be prompting it to give you an output, you need to think more like a content strategist. So there's a ton of change management that needs to happen at your own organization if you're going to employ this, or at a client's organization as well that you need to consider. And it could, help drive impactful results for you and your clients. But how do you ensure that they're bought in to your usage of AI and your policies around it as well, right? With all that legislative stuff coming out, I'm sure if you have clients who, are very, very, locked down on privacy or work in industries where there's a lot of regulation, they're very, very wary of some of the things that are going on. So, there's things that you need to do to ensure that you're transparent and that you're working in the right ways with clients to make sure that AI is up to date. So, any questions yet? I'm going to lightly touch upon a playbook that we could start talking about for marketing agencies. Is this resonating? Is this helpful so far? I haven't even talked about the tool, but I'm just kind of talking high level strategy. Any initial reactions or comments or questions?
Yeah, there's some stuff that I hadn't thought of before in terms of, if a product is free, you're the product, being careful not to leak information. It brings up an interesting point about making what you're doing secure, not just using a free tool, and you're probably going to get better content, I would imagine, from a paid tool. And I'm sure that a lot of marketing companies are restructuring and pricing based on deliverables. Jonathan and I were talking about this recently, rather than doing an hourly structure, because if they can tell that you're using AI, first of all, you've done a bad job. But second of all, they know that it's out there. And if everything starts to change or they're getting stuff back way quicker, they're going to realize that, they should be maybe paying less if they're on an hourly contract. So
yeah, and we're big proponents of switching to value-based pricing, as you're talking about, right? It's think about how all your human-led effort that goes into a service offering is from all your years of experience of marketing strategy and working with clients. How can you price that in comparison to the discrete components where AI is going to be a part of that? And being able to convey that effectively to a client. And we've been working closely with a lot of our service providers that are part of the Jasper ecosystem to kind of think deeply here. It's hey, when AI comes into the mix, now you need to be transparent about its usage to your clients so that they're aware of it. Transparent about pricing and be very like honest and pragmatic on how you price your own irreplaceable human-led components alongside the AI ones. And then you'll be able to create a really compelling offering for your clients. And then there's no, mystification that happens as part of the conversation.
Right. Thank you.
Good stuff. All right. 3 minutes. Let's see what I can do here. And I'm happy to pick this up again too. This is fun stuff to talk about. If this is valuable, I can cover a couple of these and then go pick it up some other time. I'm happy to record this and send it to folks too as well. If that would be helpful, Ryan, I can go through the deck and just kind of do a recording. And if folks want to watch it ad hoc, whatever makes the most sense. I just want to make sure we're using the time most valuably. So the playbook that I recommend, either if you're getting started or you're dipping your toes or you're kind of waist deep in AI, is just learn quick and educate yourselves, and then think about how to educate your clients. The AI space is moving fast, but always keep in mind your clients probably aren't, depending on how sophisticated they are. There's a lot to be said about watching where the AI train is going, learning it, keeping your eye on it, but then looking back and using that as an opportunity to educate and demystify for your clients. And there's value in this as well, is my point too here. You can charge for this value if you're serving clients around education. There's a bunch of partners in our ecosystem who do AI workshops. Vendi, you Ryan and Paul, that does a lot of workshops for prospects and existing customers to train them. And there's just a lot of value in that right now as the AI space is rapidly evolving, helping demystify it for them. Leverage free tools and resources to get up to speed, but also keep in mind that free tools, to our point, could potentially share information to the larger models. Build a training and education plan for your teams. So if you have a team of folks that are, likely going to be using AI, build a training plan for them. Think about what their roles are. We have a lot of training at Jasper Academy that talks about, how to upskill a copywriter to a content strategist and things that they would need to do there. So really think about, how the team needs to be upskilled with these tools. It's not as simple as just putting in their laps and expecting things to work really well. There's a lot of nuance there. And then experiment and discover, but don't lose sight of the basic business utility. There's a lot of fun, shiny object syndrome that comes with AI, but always keep your eye on, what are we driving here for business impact? The second one, and then we could wrap it up quick. Sorry, I had to jump. I have so much fun stuff to talk about. But number 2 is build client trust through transparency. Point here is generative AI can feel like a cheat code. But we strongly advise against hiding its usage. One, you could get in trouble because the client could figure it out, and then it just breaks that trust that you have with the client. That's not great. It could be legal trouble. There might be regulated industries where AI might not be able to be used in certain aspects, and you don't want to be in that camp. So what we recommend is develop and publish an AI acceptable usage policy. We have a template at Jasper you could always use, but there's plenty out there. Publish it on your website. Share it with your clients, be upfront about its usage, ensure you're transparent about it. You can use it to dispel myths about AI, what it can and can't do. Use it to set expectations, and then use transparency to beat the competition. I'm sure there's probably some bad actor agencies out there who are trying to, do the bare minimum and charge top dollar for it because they see AI as a cheat code. But no, use transparency. I think trust and transparency will win in the long term, even if there's these lost leaders coming out in the short term trying to make a quick buck. So I have a lot more to cover. Would it be helpful if I recorded something, Ryan? What would be the best next step here?
Let me get back to you, because we'll keep
Okay.
meeting with the team and just sort of see, where this could go, and just sort of see what level of information we may want next. So we can just sort of kick that around and let you know.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you guys having me today. Good to meet you all.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, and yeah, we'll let you know if anything juicy comes out after you leave, especially any shit talking that happens. We'll
Yeah. Please. I want tomatoes thrown at me even if I'm not here. So yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much,
Yeah.
Al.
Thanks,
Alex,
Al.
that's great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Very helpful.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So unfortunately, he got double booked, so we snagged him for what we could. So that's great. But overall, guys, I don't know that there was a ton that blew our minds. Just we've been kicking around a lot of these concepts and a lot of these bigger ideas. But is there anything you guys want to start the
Yeah, so
dialogue?
Ryan, if I could jump in there, I'm sorry I was a tail end Charlie, but a lot of what he was saying was just absolutely resonates. So, you know, one of the big things that all of us in this room kind of need to grab hold of is the revenue model.
Yeah.
When you look at the reality of AI, you know, 9 times out of 10, we know more than the customer. 9 times out of 10, the customer doesn't actually want to engage. And 9 times out of 10, what the customer thinks AI can do and what it can actually do are chalk and cheese. They are so different, it's not true. So, you know, I had a meeting today with my head of development, and my head of development is a bit of a Inspector Gadget. He is AI conversant to a point that it's actually sad. And we were talking today about revenue models, and I said to him, so Richard, tell me about how we monetize this. And he said, look, Mark, it's very, very simple. You've got 3 very simple models. You have supervised, unsupervised, and managed. I said, right, okay, tell me about supervised. What does that mean? What does that look like? He said, so supervised is very simple. You create a large language model, you give it a data profile, you give it a template, you say, look, AI, this is what I want you to learn. This is how I want you to learn it. And this is the way I want you to deliver the information that I've taught you to use. And then what you have is a review, a rinse and repeat position. And that's heavy lifting, very tactile, but it's not constantly load bearing. In that sense, what it means is that you teach it, you tell it what it's done wrong, it learns, leave it alone. Every time there is a seed change, a minor variation to the brand language or the brand content or to an execution, you need to teach it again. But you don't need to teach it a lot because it already knows. But there's a management fee that goes with that. There is a very high cost model that we can apply, and it's professional services. And what it looks like is kind of like 15 to 20,000 bucks. Take it or leave it, Mr. Customer. We're going to look after your brand. We're going to look after the integrity of your brand. We're going to be brand guardians, but we're going to use AI, but we're going to manage the AI to do it. And that has a high value. It's a bit like managed web services, a bit like managed websites, a bit like anything to do with what is effectively brand consistency, brand control, and brand management. And there's a big number attached, and there's some nice profit margins that can go with it, because the heavy lifting at the start is high. So you have a professional service, you have a setup charge, you have the template model. But then after that, it's actually very, very low tack, in the sense that we don't need to do a lot once we've done the heavy lifting. But that's our IPR. That's what we do. That's our value. And that has a price. And I think the really important thing for all of us in this room is to say, look, hold a minute. What are we worth? What is our market knowledge, our business, our IPR, our intellectual property that is in us? And how do we attach a value to that? Because the danger is if we let AI just get on and do it, we're devalued. We just become surplus to requirement. The AI can do it. But guess what? We taught it. And that has, it's a bit like the analogy he gave me, which I thought was brilliant. He said, look, think about the Beatles. The Beatles make money every minute of the day. Why? Because their copyright, you know, their repertoire has a license model. Well, guess what? So do we.
Mhm.
Deep.
Yeah, I think we don't think of it like that sometimes. You know, I feel like with my clients, I'm always coming up with stuff that is strictly for them, even though internally I have a process and I have a model that I'm following and best practices that I follow. But yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know. I mean, convincing clients that, you know, all of your years of experience is what led you to your recommendations, I think sometimes is hard if they don't get it. And there's a lot of clients that just don't get it. They just want stuff done for them. So, you know, how much do you tell them at first? Like you talk about the beginning and the heavy lifting, but like, where do you go with that? How do you get started with that?
Kimberly, on that point, so think about this. So if you buy a mobile phone, a cell phone, and you use it every day you get a bill. Well, guess what? We're a cell phone. That is it. I mean, our collective knowledge and skills and ability is what the client's paying for. If we give that away without valuing it, without giving them a metric that they can pay on, then we have devalued ourselves beyond belief. And what we need to do is absolutely monetize who we are on the basis of, this is my value, this is what I know, and it's worth paying for. And if it's not worth paying for, you don't want to work with me and I don't want to work with you. And that's the reality of this engagement. But the truth in AI is that the moment we teach the machine, it knows. And the value in us is to make sure the customer understands that.
So Rebecca, get ready. I'm going to tee you up because I would love your perspectives on this. But the other thing I think
Sure.
of this too is no different than any other tool, right? You go out to your garage and you pull out a wrench. The wrench is a tool. Someone took the time to make it for a specific purpose. But if I use the wrench to try to fix my car versus a highly trained mechanic who knows how to spin that wrench, totally different. One ends up with the car not working at all. The other one, the car's fixed and is exactly what the desired outcome is. So it is all that. But Rebecca, I'd be really curious because you're brand side. And in our brief conversation, you mentioned you're using AI and you guys are playing with it. And I think you were even playing around with Jasper a little bit.
Yeah, we're using Jasper. We've been using them for about 3 months, and the biggest benefit that we're seeing is that it learns, it remembers information. And when you're in a really specific niche industry like HR and payroll for global companies, it becomes really valuable for that software to remember key information that we're plugging into it.
So
So it's been much more effective than a typical freelance writer. It's faster, smarter.
That's
Yeah.
the linchpin, right? So you're a brand, right? And you are responsible for a lot of things, and that's what you're saying. But in addition, so going back to kind of Mark's comments and Kim's comments, just about the value, right? Which is the gray matter between our collective ears, and then being able to use this tool, like, how do you perceive that? So I don't know if you guys have agencies or not, but if you say, hey, guys, you're in charge of all of our content, and they come to you and say, great, we're going to use AI, whatever tool to do it all, do you start thinking, well, that should be a little bit less expensive because you're using this tool? Or how do you see that?
Yeah, so I would assume that it would probably be less expensive. The direction that we're going in with Multiplier right now, the company's fairly new. It's only about 3 years old, so everything's been in-house. We're bringing in our first agencies, and so we're actually having this conversation right now. Me and my colleagues are like, "What's the process to bring in an agency?" So we've got a couple of those going on right now. But also, I'm layering that. I'm really aggressively trying to learn these AI tools and where we can automate and where we can improve a lot of our processes. And we have a new CMO that joined us 3 weeks ago. So whenever that happens, you naturally get a lot of turnover within individual contributors and team members. And so I'm looking at, what other tools, if as we have this turnover, what tools can I replace headcount with technology as we're cycling through people. So I'm really trying to look at this as a really holistic view, where I'm thinking further down the road of what skill sets are going to be most valuable. And what I'm coming away with is hiring people that have depth and breadth within marketing, and then also know how to use these tools is probably the way of the future, versus a lot of the team members that I have today are based in India and very single function teams. They do paid search, they do paid social, they do a specific task. And so bringing in tools like this is just going to be really helpful for us to continue to scale our business. And then as we engage with agency partners, just finding the pieces of the puzzle where the agency fits in, that we're not able to provide delivery on either internally or through tools.
Do you see a world where client and agency, let's just stick to content, work together inside of a platform where maybe okay, because I'm really curious.
Of course, especially something like Jasper, where you've got so much knowledge invested into that tool. That would definitely be a shared tool, I would think.
That's where I'm seeing a lot more of this going in the conversations I'm having with clients and prospects alike. Is we're done trying to take the content. It's done. It's over. Like there's no point unless the client just absolutely cannot handle it. They don't want to use the wrench. They'll maybe try to use the wrench, but they end up going, no, you take the wrench. I'm done with this, which is totally fine. But the shift paradigm there is, okay, can we just teach you how to do all this so that everybody gets a better product. In some cases, now maybe, something in a few months is like, well, that wasn't the best move, but the conversation is going really well.
Yeah, we're not even hiring writers anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to look to an agency to do writing if I'm not going to do it internally.
Guys, can I jump in there? So, I mean, as a content provider, I find that a very difficult comment to hear, but the reality is that when you look at prompt engineering, if you look at prompt management, and if you look at prompt category management, the machine basically does not know. Okay, so you need to remember that it doesn't know what it doesn't know, so it needs to be taught. And when you look at the reality of brand language, true intentional communication, how people hear brands is how they see them. And if the content doesn't resonate, then nor does the brand. So when you look at the reality of us, and this is the humanity of this side of the fence. So it's fair to say that Jasper and ChatGPT and GPT-5, which is on the way, will, as time goes by, get better and better and better. But the reality is that they need to be taught. They are learning algorithms. They are not, in my opinion, intelligence. They are plagiaristic, and they mimic human intention and human thinking. So when you get down to the brass tacks of it, because we were asking a very, Kimberly just said, how do we, as agencies, protect our revenue income? That was the question. I mean, that's really the issue. And when you look at it in absolutely,
I think...
Sorry, you were saying.
I'm sorry to interrupt. No. Sorry to interrupt.
But my point is this: look. Teaching the machine is our jobs. Getting the machine to do the best job it can do still needs review and appraisal. It still needs rinse and repeat. Clients do not have. I mean, Rebecca, with respect, you're a new agency, a new brand. You're starting out, but when you look at established brands, they don't necessarily have the headroom, the capacity, or the scale to take that problem on. They have that problem, but they use agencies like us to fix it. And if you just take language as an example, because my business is multilingual, Google has taken 25 years to be okay in some languages, and in most languages, it's rubbish. How is AI going to suddenly accelerate that? It's not, because the reality is, if you ask for Portuguese, you'll get Brazilian Portuguese. If you ask for Spanish, you'll get Esperanto. The reality is that it's the large language model. Now, teaching the machine what is the correct language is an opportunity. It won't last forever, but when you look at brand intention, true nuance, and more importantly, the humanity of language, the machine's not there yet. It's hard, it's very formulaic, and it doesn't sound real. It's too spivvy words, it's too, plagiaristic. It's got some really weird stuff. I mean, Jasper turns out some really strange stuff. And just to give you an example, I mean, ChatGPT 5 is in learning now, and OpenAI is saying that ChatGPT 5 will be ready in 9 months based on the learning model that they're building. So if you look at our opportunity with generative AI, it's actually about being able to do everything quicker, better for less, and more of it. And that's really it. It's a capacity tool. It gives us the ability to do 100 things instead of 10. It gives us the capacity to do 20 iterations instead of 1 in the same time, with the same scope, with the same ability. And I think that when you look at what's going on with AI at the moment, it's a great opportunity. It's a massive threat. We can either embrace it or we can run away from it. But the one thing we know, it's not going away. AI is here, and we've got to do whatever we're going to do with it.
Yeah. So just to back you up on that real quick, Mark. So recently I had somebody that works for you, Francisco, translate several projects for a client and a 2-part white paper, basically 2 blogs. And at first, my assistant, who didn't realize that I was working with you, went and used Google Translate to translate to Spanish. So she took the initiative to translate from the English site to the Spanish site, which was great. But I was like, no, take it down. I was like, send it to me. I sent it to Francisco. He sent it back. I was like, you know, it was great that you tried that, but it's not going to be the same. And I compared it and it was not the same. And Spanish speaking people in that region are going to look at that going, oh my God, they used Google Translate, didn't they? You know what I mean? Like they're going to be offended. So it could totally backfire if you're not authentic. So, it's one of those things where it's a balance. It's good for some things, terrible for other things. So, just being aware of that and with the impact, the overall impact. I mean, I could have lost a 3-year client over that because most of their employees are Spanish speaking. And if they saw that, that would have gotten back to the CEO. The CEO would have, fired me, I would have lost a second client because one of his offshoot companies also is my client. So, you have to be really careful with certain things.
Yeah, and on that note,
Somebody-
Kimberly,
I was going to throw in one thing. It's just a tactical, real world example. Just yesterday, I put a LinkedIn post up, shared some thoughts. Some clown went in there, copied and pasted my thing, went over into GPT, had it, prompt probably was, please give me a LinkedIn response to this. It couldn't have been more awful. It literally restated everything I said in the most animatronic bullshit way. And I couldn't stand it. I just literally replied to him and I said, which AI tool did you use to create this response? It's like, get that shit out of here. But it is so obvious when you don't do it right. So,
Right.
your point.
So
Rebecca,
Ryan,
the
on that
brand-
note, and I think this is really the elephant in the room, when you look at curated copy and when you look at truly nuanced and absolutely well thought out information delivery, content delivery in a sense that really resonates, the humanity of us is the key. We have to remember that the most important thing about AI, it's a productivity tool. It's not us. It's not able to do what we do. It can't think, it can't reason, it can't do anything that we can do. But what it can do, it can plagiarize. And so if we understand the plagiarism and how that plagiarism engine works and what it does in the context of our customers, and Rebecca, you're a client, which is great that you're on the call, and I'm really pleased you're here. But I think, when I look at this from a customer perspective, the large language model is all about one thing: teaching the machine to do an okay job, and then having a person make sure that it's great. And that's really the issue. We've been post-editing machine translation for 20 years. I mean, in my industry, AI, we call it machine translation, translation memory, we've been working with for 25 years. It's not new. But when you get into the world of single language, we've now got a new paradigm, which is EMT, editing machine translation. It's not post-editing. Why? Because we don't understand the source. We don't know what the source language was. All we know is this is what we've got to edit. Is it good? Is it bad? It's in my language. I can read it. It doesn't make sense. I can make that work. And EMT is a very interesting opportunity for everyone because everyone in this room can do EMT. I can't do PMT. Why? Because I only speak English and Italian, and I don't read Italian, I speak it. So the truth is, I can only actually do EMT of Italian into English and only deal with the English copy, not the Italian. So I don't know what the source was. I don't know what the origination was. I don't know what the intention was. I just know this is English. And when you look at the world we live in today, we're moving into a world where content is being delivered where we have no appreciation of where it came from. All we know is it says this.
And most people don't care. Most people
Yeah.
who are reading it don't care where it came from. They don't care if it's true. They only care who else is reading it and who else thinks it's true.
Have you
Yeah,
seen
so
the
that's a great point, Kim.
preferences
So you know that as of today, Google have just bought out Gemini. Gemini now watermarks all of its content. ChatGPT 5 will watermark all of its content. Amazon is now watermarking all of its content, which means that everything's got a vapor trail. Everything has traceability. And the ranking systems based across all platforms are going to be based on human content, number 1, anything with a vapor trail, number 3.
It's just so amazing to me how much we have to prove authenticity for everything. And it gets, more and more interesting how you do that. The fact that they're watermarking stuff, I'm sure somebody's going to find a way around that too at some point, but
100%. We
you
use
know,
AI to take the watermark off. It's fine. Hey, real quick, I want to jump in with Adam, Hillary, or Jonathan. Do you guys have any thoughts on this? Are you guys using it in your businesses? Have you dabbled? Have you played? Are you curious about how you could use it for your world that maybe we can help with?
I've personally dabbled, but as an agency, we're steering very carefully around it because we have had content writers on staff for so long. And you know, there are a lot of our customers who, you know, they have worked a lot of hours with our content team to get to a point where their voice is really understood. And so there'll probably be some new ones as we bring those folks on. But it's really hard for us to want to try something new when we've got it nailed down. So there is some of that where what's working is working and it hasn't come from the AI space. But as we bring in some new customers, we're definitely looking at how we're going to leverage it. It's just, you know, it really depends on the circumstances from our standpoint. So I'm absorbing a lot and I'm learning a lot, but I don't know that I have any questions really beyond just, you know, has anybody had any experience trying to shift the content they're creating for customers from a tried and true content writer that's kind of nailed that voice to try to leverage an AI for some reason? And how did that change? Did it get noticed? Was the content of a different outcome?
Adam, I could talk to you about that for hours. I mean, the reality is prompt engineering, right? So, for example, if you write a prompt for ChatGPT and you put in there, and if you do a good job, I'll give you $200. What you get back is 10 times better than if you didn't put, I'll give you $200. So there are some really interesting dynamics based around what is effectively prompt building, prompt engineering, prompt management, where you guys have got a revenue opportunity. Because your challenge, if you have a conventional content team, is to monetize their knowledge. And that's really where you need to be thinking, because getting those guys, and more importantly, future-proofing their skills. There's a course, I'll share some stuff with you guys after this, where you can sign up for like $20 a month for 20-minute prompt engineering, prompt training from content agencies who have really majored in this stuff, where they've learned the lessons and they've built some really good metrics based around getting back really good copy based on what is effectively teaching the machine how you want to write. You know, so for example, if I write a prompt now, I will say, right, my name's Mark. This is what I do. This is my job. I need you to write in this style. This is who I am. I've got a sense of humor. I come from West London. I've got a bit of a Cockney accent. I've got a really good sense of humor. This is what I like to do. I'm quite irreverent, so I want a punchy piece of copy. And then this is the subject matter. This is who I'm writing to. Here's his LinkedIn profile. This is an example of something I had from him before. Write me some copy for him. That's the way to build really good prompts. And what you get back, and then you say, oh, and if you do a good job, I'll give you $200. You will be amazed at what you get back.
yeah.
Okay.
Something to try for sure. Just as an example, you know, I have a client that is a PhD. He does ground penetrating radar and non-destructive testing and all this stuff for people that build buildings and roads and bridges. And, you know, he has a hard time hiring people because they're not as good as he is. So we were trying to hire a content writer to write his blogs, to enhance his project, case studies, everything we sent him. He was like, no, that's no good. No, that's no good. I was like, okay, well, I've been working with you for 2 years now. Let me put this into ChatGPT, all these keywords, and it spat back an actual like excellent blog post. And I've been trying to get him to read it since March of last year. And he refuses to look at it. And it's like, all you have to do is like, look at it and say yes or no. Is it good or not? Because I know you're not going to trust me because I'm not a PhD, you know, but you can edit it. You know, 90% of writing, because I have an English degree and I learned this from way back, like 90% of writing is editing. You write a bunch of crap, and then you edit for weeks. You know, you edit and edit and edit and edit, and you know, and eventually you might have something good. So it's really difficult trying to convince certain people who are used to doing things in a certain way to try something new, especially if they think it's working. You know, to Adam's point, you know, even though I'm, you know, a writer, you know, I got into marketing, and it's shorthand, you know, from like what I used to do, you know, so to me, marketing just comes naturally and somewhat easy, but, you know, it's one of those things where people like what they like and they know what they know and they're going to stick to that. And how do you convince them, you know, that this is not a shortcut necessarily? Like this is just a beginning of changing something that you're used to doing. Hillary.
In response to that, so I am the exact opposite of you. I did not get into marketing to do writing. I do a lot of other functions. And
I didn't get into marketing to do writing. I was a writer first.
well, exactly. But you know, my journey's been different, right? And so for me, and I tell my clients openly, like, I'm here to help you leverage your tools. We use digital tools all the time to make business run more efficiently, to be quicker. And so I use it as a prompt starter all the time, and I love it. And I've learned a lot of great tips from Ryan, of just how to get it to where I need it to be so that I can take it and tweak it. And I think, you know, for the work that I'm doing, we're not doing brand overhauls, right? We have a brand in place. We know what that tone is, and I can take it. And I have to say, like, being transparent with clients, even new clients coming in, to just say, like, this is a tool that we use, you know, to start, and I need you to review it. And most of them are in that bucket of like, I don't know, I don't really care what it says. I just need this to be done, right? And they've been really, really pleased with just knowing that that's something. A lot of them are like, teach me how to do this. What do you use it for? Like, give me your tips, you know? So I guess my company's newer. I mean, I'm only about 2.5 years in. And so all of this has kind of been around and part of what I've used from the beginning. Well, I understand a lot of this conversation around that really in-depth kind of brand building and positioning and all of that. I think in some ways we have to figure out the best solutions for our clients, because they're coming to us asking for that, right? And there are clients that I wouldn't necessarily use ChatGPT to help me start prompts, because it's just not who they are, or it's not specific enough to what they're doing, or they're in a heavily regulated industry that I'm not comfortable kind of being in there, right? So
Yeah, for
Do
sure.
you guys want to see kind of some of the Jasper stuff from just there's something in there called a campaign, which I'm disappointed they called it a campaign. Rebecca, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's not the same how we all think about campaigns. But if you think about it as a very tight content campaign, it helps put it into perspective. Just kind of how that stuff works. Do you guys want to see that, or do we want to keep jamming on all the ins and outs of this? And I'm good either way.
I'm happy to see it.
Okay, because part of it, and even in our last couple calls, was like I heard a handful of people say, I want to, but I don't know how to. I don't know how to get started. And right, so like Kim, my favorite conversation with you was what, like 8 months ago? You were kind of there. And what did we do together? I can't remember. I think we wrote some grooming blogs.
Yeah,
But-
we did. We wrote some grooming blogs, and we wrote them in the voice of, what's that actor's name? What was his name? But it was like it wrote back in his voice, and it was fascinating.
It wasn't Morgan
Morgan
Freeman.
Freeman.
Yeah. So just seeing the tonality and how it can bring it together. The challenge I always give people early on is write 2 pieces of content. One in like Joe Rogan, hey balloons, Joe Rogan's voice versus like Martha Stewart's voice. And you don't have to give it anything else other than that. And the context that the machines already had was enough that anybody who read it was like, huh, I can totally see the difference. And I can hear Martha Stewart reading this thing. So it's really interesting. But so kind of bringing this into like the world of applicability, and Rebecca, you're probably pretty savvy at this stuff too, but so this is the dashboard, this is the basics. right? But if you go in here and we'll build one together, but I want to do a new campaign. What should it be about?
The
Anything?
dangers of AI.
Woohoo! Okay, so I don't have a lot of things loaded up that are going to be applicable, but I want you to see how this works. So you see this little voice right here. Now imagine this for being like multiple clients or multiple brands that are subsidiaries or whatever, right? So in here, I preloaded voice documents, right? So we're just going to pick on a client. We're going to do this. So we've already loaded this. Oops, here it is. Loaded this up with information of other documents we already have. We already did the work. Now we're just going to upload this into the Jasper database and then knowledge base. So you can build extensive knowledge bases in this thing, and it keeps it, right? So if we go into ChatGPT or Claude or the other ones, I've written tons of documents that have everything in one document. So all you have to do is upload it and then give it the right prompt, and it'll go pull from these documents, and they're just templates that I build for clients. But now I don't have to do that. So I can come in here, add a knowledge base. I'm just going to do whatever, this guy. So pretend this is your really relevant content. So then I hit select content. This is what blew my mind. I can go in here and this is a DAT menu. I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. Right? So I can tell it, I need some ideas. I need a post, I need a case study, I need an Instagram caption, I need a newsletter. I want to send some texts, and I need a LinkedIn post. So I'm not going to run through the whole thing, but you can literally tell it all the things you may need as part of this content campaign. It pulls from your voice, it pulls from your database. It knows exactly all the parameters of what those specific platforms need. And then you simply hit create, and voila, you have what I would call, anywhere between 65 and 75% of the goodies that you need to go to market with whatever content that is. Then insert in the human element, right? Whether you're an agency or whether you're brand side or whatever it is, some human has to come in and, of course, validate, edit, move around, smooth out, make sure that it's all cohesive and that we don't have those AI hallucinations, because it's still here. But that, to me, just bringing it down to a level we can all understand and basically go, oh my God, that's awesome. So I'll stop there. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I'm interested in kind of the learning aspect of it, for like proposals, and that kind of. So our wayfinding for us is very similar in a core skeleton, for every project that we do. So proposals will have quite a clear rhythm to them, obviously delicately constructed to the particular client needs and problems in that kind of sense. So theoretically, if I chucked in all of the last 30 proposals that I wrote, would it be something that could do the grunt work? Obviously, I like Mark's kind of term about the intern.
Exactly.
Is that the theory, that it would be able to do that, start off at 10?
Yes, absolutely. So you can just keep piling on and piling on, but again, it's still going to be in the prompt. It's still going to be in the crafting of that stuff. But Rebecca, if you don't mind, can you just share like how you guys are using it, and just kind of give us some context around a brand that's actively using it today?
Yeah, sure. So we actually generate content 4 different ways. So we use influencers, of course, to create content for us that's more thought leadership driven. That's where we're getting a lot of our longer form content, especially in blogs. Then we also use internal writers. We have 3 writers on staff who know our business, know our industry. They're not as forward thinking as some of the influencers, but they definitely can crank out a good amount of content. Then we got some freelance writers that, like I said, we're transitioning those freelance writers over into Jasper. So Jasper, kind of fits a niche for us, where after we've educated it and kind of taught it what we're looking for, then it produces content for us that's in line with that. But of course, we have the other channels to generate content as well, to make sure that we're bringing thought leadership and value to our clients and prospects. So but having Jasper learn and all be in that tool is just incredibly valuable, and we're finding a lot of really good success with it.
And then you have other team members in there too that can collaborate on the same document, which is also nice.
Right. So
all your team over here, you have product, you got marketing, you got sales, all in there.
yeah, we have several seats available, and so everyone's collaborating in there. And as I'm thinking about the agency role in there, that's probably a really good spot for a lot of the content creation agencies to live in, is helping brands like mine find thought leaders that are in our industry, have a deep understanding of that industry, and then also helping brands with manage the tools that are creating content for them.
So then for the after you get an output, how do you guys handle the review, editing, fact checking, and things like that?
Yeah, our content team manages all that. So like I said, we have an editor, and then we have 3 writers. And so they're in the tool, and they're the ones that are manipulating any information that might be in there, and fact checking and all of that. And then it of course goes through our internal approval chain.
That's pretty awesome. Like I'm proud of you guys. I don't even know you guys. I'm proud of you. That's super cool. So does that connect some dots for you guys? Because again, I know we're kind of all over the place with it, but
yeah. So on that note, Ryan, I mean, just if you take what Rebecca just said, which is brilliant, because one of the things that we do now is we ask the AI to also include the backlinks. So anywhere that they find where it finds the information, we ask it to include the URL and have that as a link. And that way we can then check the backlinks based on any data to make sure it's still relevant. So for example, I did one yesterday, and all of the source of information came from 2019, which is like so out of date, it's not true. So I changed the prompt, and then I got back everything from 2023. So, it's all about teaching the machine to actually think, act, and operate humanly. Because anything and anything, that analogy you gave last time we were on a meeting, Ryan, we said, look, it's like a postgrad student that knows nothing. Just tell them what to do and they'll go and do it. Well, guess what? That works.
Yep. It's my favorite thing to do. It's a mindset shift though, right? Not everybody's a teacher. Not everybody's a trainer. Not everybody has that mindset.
Yeah. And a lot of people, assume a lot of information, I mean, I'm just thinking about, a parenting example with my daughter, and she's, she's having a meal and I ask her to clean up after herself. Well, to her, that means just throwing the garbage in the garbage. But then if I say, I need you to put your stuff in the dishwasher, she's like, oh. It's like, I could say, just put it in the sink, but if I don't tell her exactly what I want her to do, she's not going to do it. She's perfectly capable of doing it. But if I don't tell her exactly what I want her to do, it's not going to happen. So that's kind of how I see AI a little bit. You got to be really, really specific about what you want to get out of it for it to give you something valuable. And then quality check it. I mean, I know that Mark's company quality controls and checks things multiple times before it gets to me, and then I go and talk to somebody at that company who speaks Spanish, and it's like, does that make sense? And they go, yeah. Or they go, sí, or they go, no, and then usually it's yes. So, I think it's a good tool, and it saves time, and it also can help you to be creative and help you to think through your strategy a little bit more because of the specifics you have to give it to give you information back.
You guys, has anybody experimented uploading PDFs to whatever your favorite tool is? Claude, GPT, whatever.
Have not.
So here's
I've
just
not done
something.
that,
What's that?
but what I have done is so when we were on brand workshops, I take an audio recording of the workshop, literally. So historically, when I'm writing up that report, I just stick it in on the headphones, just listen back, because you'll never pick up everything from the workshop. So always keep it in the background. And what I've tried to do is then just transcribe that, so I can just dip into it easier than listening to an audio recording. Because I can just scan down the page, as it were, or the digital page, and pick out stuff which you can't do from an audio recording. It'd be interesting if people got experience, obviously, with, as you mentioned, with PDFs, but as well taking the transcript of an audio event and then telling it to give me the brand values of the company, give me what the key messages are.
I use Sybil. I've got Meeting Geek on this meeting now. Sybil will give you a full transcription, and it will also give you nuance, and it will also give you an engagement rating, and you can have that as an audio. So you don't even need to have the meeting on in the sense that it's recording the video, but it will record the sound, and it will give you, based on the voices, who was engaged, who wasn't. And it will also give you
Yeah.
prompts based on where you missed an opportunity. It will tell you where the sales opportunity was. It will give you a whole load of data based around that.
It's Fathom does the same thing, man. That is my best friend in the whole wide world. And so for those of you who do voice of customer research or market research, positioning, messaging, we should set up a separate call. I can show you guys a system I built to do the entire thing inside of an LLM. And it'll blow your freaking mind. Even on the client side, if you guys are hearing like, or brand side, if you're hearing, you want to do some, maybe you're doing CSATs or you're doing some sort of interviews. If you can record all those, it's phenomenal what you can do by building a simple database, running some specific prompts to extract like mind-blowing results or data from your clients or whoever you're interviewing. But the other thing I was going to say, back to PDFs, the test you guys can do, because I think we need to push ourselves, right? For those of you who want to stay on the AI train, like I don't know how often, Kim, we want to do this, but push ourselves to try other things. One thing I've been playing with is screenshotting websites, just the homepage, convert it to a PDF, upload. I've been using Claude for this, Claude.ai. If you haven't used that, Claude's probably one of my favorites, aside from, Jasper for its tools and OpenAI. Give it a screenshot. Well, actually, GPT does a pretty good job of this too. Upload it, and then give it some sort of prompt. Try your best to tell it what you're trying to do from a user journey perspective. Tell it who your target audience is. Tell it what this page should achieve, and then give it some prompts. You might even have to ask a prompt to get the prompt of user journey, but have it go evaluate your own homepage or your client's homepage. I'm telling you, you're going to get goosebumps what you get back. If you want help with any of the prompts, just shoot me a note, but just go play with that. Tell it, what are you trying to understand? And in some cases, you can even get like OpenAI to come back with a full like matrix grid of a checkbox. It achieves this, but not this. It achieves this, but not this. Then you can go in and give it competitors. Go dump in 4 competitors and then give it the same prompt. I'm telling you, as marketers, you guys are going to just freak out. It's awesome.
That's great advice, Ryan.
Yeah,
Just
amazing.
Play.
Yeah, and it's based on, marketing best practices, that somebody has inputted. It's like, what should your marketing homepage achieve? Is it doing what you want it to do? Are people following the call to action? Does it make sense? Is it even the right call to action? Things like that. And then we can use that with all of our clients as well.
Does anybody work with like migrating data? Let's just stick with contact records, emails, data. Do you guys do that stuff?
I do.
Yeah, I know, Hillary, you're probably into this, but like there's times I'll get a data dump from a client. Maybe it's 2,000 records, right? Anyone who gets that list, immediately I roll like, I'm going to go back to bed. I don't want to do this. Upload that. Copy and paste it, whatever it takes. Get it in there and tell it how to reformat the data into an Excel spreadsheet so that you can go upload it back to your other database. It's 45 seconds versus 4 hours.
Ryan, that trick you gave me a while back around like the big email blast, right?
Yeah.
100 emails on a chain. I did that in chat.
Cool.
It was amazing. It spit out a whole spreadsheet. Everything was organized and it was like this. And I loaded it in my CRM. I'm like, okay, done with that one. Everybody's tagged. It was fantastic.
Awesome. That's super cool.
It's really basic, but I even like when I go to a business event, I'm an Apple geek all over, so I don't know if it could be used on the other thing that is not to be mentioned. But like just take photographs of your business cards, and on photos now you can just scan the text. You don't have to type it in, and that just saves me hours after the event putting all that data in.
What
highlight
CRM are
text,
you
innit?
using, Jonathan?
We use Monday.
Because HubSpot has got a link into the Apple Photos now, so you can automate that straight into a record on HubSpot.
Oh, cool.
That's cool.
That's why I love technology, because it just, like you said, it just saves you stress or hours and hours and hours.
Oh, the last thing I'll share with you on Jasper that I've been, I'm new to it, so I'm kind of exploring, but really had some good connection with Al. But it has a little widget, which is annoying if you have Grammarly or whatever, that thing follows you everywhere. So it's another one of those. But you could be in a Word document and just banging away and having a good time. And then the little helper's right there, and it'll just start inserting knowledge and prompts and data or whatever that you want right into your document. So you don't even have to go into the other platform. I'm like, this is good.
Mm.
Changing the subject, guys, but on another note, has anyone seen this new release from Google today?
No. What is it?
So Google have changed their privacy position based on AI and based on propagation of data. And they've got a list, it's in the small print. It's something like 2,000 removed comments based around, and this is applicable for SEO, because obviously we need to understand this stuff based around SEO. I've only had a brief scan. It looks pretty innocuous at the moment, but what's interesting is that AI content is quite highly ranked in terms of emissions.
You mentioned that on the last call, I think.
Yeah, well, this has been released today. There's been a new update.
Okay.
So, you know, we just need to be kind of aware, because obviously, you know, find and search, which is still pretty much where everyone is at the moment. I mean, in time, I don't know where that's going to go. I can't second guess it. I mean, but if you look at things like PO and some of the other bot apps that you can build today, there's a serious question over whether moving into the app or the bot route is a better way to go for a brand than an actual website. And that's a serious question. I don't know the answer. I don't think we're there yet.
Dude, that's a good one. I'm already arguing that websites are obsolete.
Well, if you look at the ability with PO to build a bot that is everything based on a customer profile, and then have a propagation model, you could have 10 million bots based on 10 million customers deployed for the same cost of a website.
It's awesome. I love it. It's scary as hell, but man, it is interesting that you bring that up. I've been thinking a lot about that and just the point of a website anymore, and really, what is it? That's really
well, true personalization, absolute 100% personalization now exists. You know, the days of dear Alford, we saw you looked at this are gone. You know, it's got to be more about Mark. You really like this shit. This is something this is gonna work for you. You've got to buy this. This is just going to be right for you. That's where we are today.
Wow.
So interesting, Ryan, that you wonder about the future of websites. Did you see the launch of that Rabbit tool that came out a month or so ago?
Yes,
that was you're exactly right. It's all turning into this.
Yeah, they
phones are going away. We're just going to talk into a device.
They launched it at CES, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's like, what are we doing? And yeah, I thought the demo of that was interesting. I didn't love it, but I thought it was
no. That's not going to be the thing that takes over, but the next thing probably is.
But that's the concept is really interesting.
Yeah.
So I think the key is interoperability. If you look at this whole dynamic of interoperability, which is what a bot provides, and there are many bot engines. You know, PO is just one of them. The ability to create a bot that can tailor its content to a target customer based on a known demographic, a known profile, on a one-to-one, not a one-to-many basis, is now a reality.
Freaking wild. What about Apple Vision or whatever they're calling it? Right?
Well, Apple Vision is I mean, Apple Vision is it's been there for a long time. Don't forget Google Glass.
Yep, I remember
Apple licensed that technology. So it was a combined development, because the idea behind it, because don't forget, when Google Glass came out, they had the Android, but they didn't at that time own what was the Razr Motorola phone, which then became the Google phone. So they were very much partnering with Apple at that time, and Apple still have that license. So if you look at, I mean, Apple are way behind the curve when it comes to AI. They are very, very far behind. They will catch up. But what's interesting is that as of last month, they are the biggest selling mobile phone company in the world. They've overtaken Samsung. So there's some really serious developments going on in that space, but Apple's AI is backwards.
Mm-hmm. But just imagine though, like being able to go to a web experience. I don't even know what it'll be, but a web experience, right? And to your point, it should know who you are. It's connected. You have your own UID. Then you load it. You're using your eyeballs to scroll and look. I mean, that web experience is going to be something that I can't even imagine down the road.
Well, it's there. The technology exists. I think it's probably a step too far for today, but I think my focus right now would be bot and personalization, true personalization, and then looking at how we can help the customer to engender one-to-one conversations based on product or market service position based on one-to-one deliveries.
I don't think we're going to solve it all today, Mark, but man, you guys have put up some good conversations. It's a lot of stuff to unpack. Oh, I'll share this next on Valentine's Day. I'm co-hosting at one of those. It's an SEO kind of casual conversation with somebody who's diving deeply into the AI impact. Some of the things that I don't know if you guys have suffered this, but I have a lot of clients who got hammered in the last, they have 4 core updates last year. So SEO has been kind of who's on first. But co-hosting a pretty smart dude on all this. So if you guys want any of that, happy to share it. But that's next Wednesday.
Yeah, I'd love
Don't
to
mind, sharing that in the chat.
I'll put it in the group email with the follow-up, but it might be worth something.
Okay, great. This is awesome, guys. We
Yeah.
could chat endlessly. We could just have a whole mastermind about AI.
future-proofing our industry, guys. It's future-proofing us. We got to think about how do we future-proof us. That's the key.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one way to do it, but doing it smart, and doing it in creative ways. And I didn't realize, just how many AI tools there are out there. I mean, where we don't want to get to is where robots are actually thinking for us and making all of our decisions. I mean, we, as marketers, we do, but as people, we don't, I mean, there's a reason I don't have TV. Everything's on demand because I cannot watch commercials. Can't do it.
I say come for it. If they can think better than I can, have it.
I mean, I really don't have a problem with it either, Rebecca. I'm the same team.
Nah.
If you can do laundry and dishes and also tell me what I'm supposed to watch and think, I don't really care. Just let me go play outside. I'll be happy that way.
Yeah, you get to go out and enjoy experiences.
Go look at Tesla's new robot if you haven't seen it yet. Creepy. How good it is.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, I don't know, months.
Yeah.
Seems like.
It's coming fast.
Awesome. All right, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks. You too. Talk to everybody soon. Thank you.